easy.
Okay, everybody, we're back again. Sorry about that little glitch. I hope this is vertical for everybody. And Ryan, why don't you go through those the inactives again?
Yeah, the biggest surprise today, Pete, is Trevor Davis. Coming into the night, we thought he'd be the return man, really made the team on his special teams, his return ability. A late add to the inactives list because of an injury. So Trevor Davis, Tim Boyle, the third quarterback, inactive tonight. Josh Jones, the one guy that we knew of because he missed all week of practice with the ankle injury. He will not be active. The undrafted rookie safety, Raven Green, is inactive. Oren Burks, the other big name, inside linebacker rookie, separated his shoulder before the Oakland game.
Think he plays next week?
I think that they were kind of giving him a look-see this week. It just needs more time. So
I would think he's
I think a possibility. Yeah. Alex Light, the kind of fourth offensive tackle, is inactive. And then the one rookie receiver who is inactive tonight is Jamon Moore. So Marquez Valdez-Scantling and Equinemius St. Brown, both active to make their debut for the Packers.
So who's returning punts and kicks, somebody wants to know?
I would imagine that Marquez Valdez-Scantling might be an option. Ty Montgomery probably is going to be your well, you know, let me ask you, Ty Montgomery, do you put him back there with only two running backs?
No. Can't risk it.
So probably Marquez Valdez-Scantling is the other guy that we saw. Punt's going to be really interesting. I mean, we saw Tremont Williams get some punt return snaps. We saw Quentin Rollins get some punt return reps. I think it's a big kind of question going in tonight. They can go a couple different ways.
I wonder I'd like to see what the reasoning is, what they're thinking there with who they wanted up because they to leave Davis off. Somebody's wondering if Josh Jackson's going to have an interception. How much do you think he'll play tonight?
Probably.
Is he the number 4?
I think he's number 4. I think when they go to dime, you'll probably see Jair Alexander and Josh Jackson both in the slot. I think that they benefit from, you go back to early in camp, I think it was a little surprising how much they rotated him into the slot. He's kind of a perimeter guy, but that could benefit him in the dime. I think he's their number 4 over Devon House, but not that much. If you're number 4, I mean, the top 3 guys play a ton, so I don't think he'll be top 3.
So the big question, how much does Khalil Mack play?
It sure sounds like they're going to have him on a pitch count. Now, that can be a little gamesmanship. I mean,
so what the question is, what's a pitch count? Is a pitch count 12 snaps or is a pitch count 30?
Boy, I would think that they would be closer to that 30 mark, wouldn't you? I mean, I know that he didn't play at all in the offseason, but
I was thinking less is more. Really obvious passing downs. That would have been my guess. I was thinking 15 snaps, but who knows? They're paying a lot of money for this guy, but also if he comes in and gets hurt right off the bat,
it wouldn't be good.
Completely defeats the purpose of bringing him in the first place. How many times will Mac get to Rodgers? I find it hard to believe he's going to be that big a factor tonight.
I do too. I think the Packers are catching him at the right time. I'll say he has a sack. I'll say he gets there one time, but not a game record that's going to have 2.5, 3 sacks.
Unless it's a turnover play, and then it could be a different story.
Perhaps.
More 2 tight ends?
Maybe 3 tight ends. I wouldn't put 3 tight ends past him. I think that you're going to see some of that. Keep in mind, Lance Kendricks is really the fullback now, too. So they could go with 3 tight ends with Lance Kendricks being a fullback at times.
Morrison, do you think he'll play?
Yeah, I think he'll be the early down linebacker, especially like in nickel. I think that, him and Blake Martinez. With Oren Burks out, I think for sure that he's going to get a lot of snaps.
It's funny how they call those linebackers now the run stoppers. They call them 2-down linebackers. They used to.
Yeah.
They're really 1-down linebackers. They're out there on first down and then they're off the field unless it's short yardage.
Yeah.
Jamal Williams playing. Yeah, he'll be there. He'll probably get a ton of snaps.
He's going to be their workhorse. He's going to have to these first 2 weeks. You'd like to, I think, get out of this game with him still being fresh for next week because that's going to be a lot of punishment he'll take against the Vikings defense. But, yeah, it's...
So, nickel. Who's the other inside linebacker? Well, you got Blake Martinez will be one of them.
Antonio Morrison? Wouldn't you think? It'd be him or
I'm thinking it'll be Josh Jones. Oh, no, he's not playing. He's Whitehead. Inactive. I'm thinking it might be Whitehead.
Might be Whitehead?
Yeah.
So you think that either way they'll go with the safety and drop him down and go with 3 safeties on the field? That would nitro package?
That would be my best guess. So we'll probably see a mix of both. It depends down in distance and personnel. But I bet we'll see a lot of that safety as an inside linebacker. That would be my guess. How many weeks with the entire offensive line playing together? They were practicing together the week of the finale, right? Weren't they?
They almost got 0 time together on the field. Now, I do think it probably helped that Justin McCray and Brian Bulaga got some snaps in Kansas City to kind of get their feet wet, because they've never played together.
Yeah.
By Justin McCray played half last season at right tackle, so that probably helped. But this is going to be the most that they played together all camp. I mean, they haven't really done it much.
How close to Kroll's are we? Kroll's is a long block away. It's just to our right up the road here.
Alexander returning punts tonight.
You know, he'd be another possibility.
Possibility.
He did it in the one preseason game. Did okay.
I'll tell you what, the fact that we don't know who it is right now, I think there is a little bit of guesswork for the Bears. I mean, Trevor Davis was the guy, so I think they're kind of guessing too.
Yeah. How do you slow down Mac? Probably, you know, I don't know if you saw the comments Sean Payton made about this a couple of weeks ago to Peter King, but he said when they played him, it was either the Raiders, I think it was 2 years ago, they called it Mac Protect, and whichever side he lined up on, the tight end had to line up on that side. That's a game-changing player right there. Linebacker's weakest position on the roster. Do you agree with that?
The edge rush?
Inside linebacker, they're probably talking.
I would say outside linebacker more than inside linebacker. But, yeah, without Oren Burks, I saw a question on Darius Jackson. He is active, the running back that they picked up about a week ago. I would not expect him to touch the football tonight, but he will give some depth to their special teams.
You know, we've got Adam asking about the safety blitz. I think this guy Pettin likes to send corners too. I think we'll see a lot of combinations of blitzes. I would think he's going to throw a lot of things at Mitch Trubisky, who's only second-year guy. He started about a little more than half the season, I think, last year. You know, you would think that he would be vulnerable, learning a new offense with Matt Nagy. You would think he'd be vulnerable to all the exotic stuff that Pettin can do.
Saw a question about how much will they use Mercedes Lewis to help out on Khalil Mack. I think an awful lot on the right side. I think the real question is how much do they help David Bakhtiari when he's against Khalil Mack, and I think that they'll probably let him go one-on-one quite a bit. I mean, David Bakhtiari is one of the few guys in the league I think that you feel pretty decent in a one-on-one situation with Khalil Mack. Not that he can pitch a shutout, but from a scheme-wise, I mean, I think they certainly – Mercedes Lewis is going to help Brian Bulaga a lot, but when they put him on the left side of the offensive line, it'll be interesting.
You know, late in camp, I asked Lewis if he could block one-on-one outside rushers in this league, and he said yes. But Mack is a little different animal.
A little bit.
I don't think they'll be matching him up with him.
No, I think more combo.
Mitch Trubisky any better this year? That's the question. You know, I don't know do you have any opinion on whether this guy's going to end up being any good?
I kind of take I'm not going to buy it until I see it.
Guilty until proven innocent?
Yeah, and so I didn't see it last year. That's not to say that he, with the benefit of a full offseason, can't be a different quarterback this year, but didn't see it last year. I'll reserve that until he actually does something on the field.
Score prediction. What'd you pick?
31-17.
A lot of points.
Packers.
A lot of points.
It is a lot of points. I'll say this too. I don't see this game being close. I could totally. I mean, this is on video. I got it on video saying, who knows? I mean, I didn't see the Browns and Steelers tying today. I picked the Saints in my survivor pool, so that didn't go too well.
I picked them to win the Super Bowl, but weird stuff happens early in the year.
Week one is always weird. So, but for me, so long as Aaron Rodgers and Mitch Trubisky are worlds apart, and I think they still are, so will the series.
Focus on Jordan Howard and take your chances with Trubisky.
Yeah. I think you got to beat. I think you got to make Trubisky beat you until he proves that he can, and then you adjust.
Allen Robinson. Packers went after Allen Robinson.
They did, and they went after Kyle Fuller too.
They did,
and they went after Khalil Mack. There's a few guys on the Bears
the
team.
Kyle Fuller, you knew the Bears were going to match that, and they did in a nanosecond. Michael Decker agrees with you on the easy Packers win.
That's not surprising.
Jimmy Graham having a big night tonight.
I think so.
He's going to be
put him on your fantasy team. Start him.
He's going to. You can tell the quarterback really likes working with this guy. How much will Jackson Alexander play?
Well, I think Jair Alexander's going to play a lot. I think he's your third corner, so that means he's going to be on the field in the slot for nickel. As far as Josh Jackson, kind of a dime corner, I think is where you want to see him.
How about Tremont Williams? Is he going to? He won't play. He's not playing 100% of the snaps or 95, is he?
It's a really good question. I mean, early in the season, especially, you would think that he would play more, but you also have to.
He's a 35-year-old guy.
You also got to keep his legs fresh. So.
I would guess, just kind of pulling a number out of thin air, I would guess 65% of the snaps, somewhere in there, will be his number before the season's out.
Hey,
when the season's out.
Cody, yes, Kevin King will play tonight. He's their top corner. He's healthy enough to play. Was able to get on the field in Kansas City. As long as he's healthy, he's a starter, and they're not taking him off the field.
It's not a tracksuit, Kyle. Or who is that, Dean? It's just a pullover. But thanks for asking. How can you not have Jackson playing a majority of the snaps? It was interesting. Pro Football Focus did their all camp team, all preseason team, and they had they had starters, they had star players on it, but they also had Josh Jackson, and then Peter King picked him because they work with Pro Football Focus. NBC Sports does and Peter King does, and so he picked Josh Jackson as rookie defensive player of the year, if I remember right.
That's bold.
That is. I just don't know if he'll get enough, if he'll play enough to be that. But he does show a real ability to play the ball.
Who covers Allen Robinson, Pete?
I don't know that they'll match up with him. I don't know that they will. I think they'll just whoever side he's on.
I think you're right.
Is Cole Madison ever going to come in?
Not this year, I don't think. Paul Thompson, I do see you. Hello, Paul. Thanks for joining us.
Gut feeling, Mo Wilkerson. What did you think of Mo Wilkerson in camp?
Didn't see him flash a lot, but you didn't see him do. I mean, he was kind of got the veteran treatment, I think. I don't think they have really any issues. The thing that's interesting about Mo Wilkerson, like I wrote about earlier this week, him and Tramon Williams are really Pettine guys. And if you look at when Mike Pettine's defense has been good, he's always had that conduit, whether it's Bart Scott, whether it's Jim Leonard, that veteran conduit between him and the rest of the players that kind of hold guys accountable and teach the system. I think Mo Wilkerson and Tramon Williams, the front end of the defense and the back end of the defense, are really those guys. I mean, I think that's where he's really valuable.
You're Brian Gutekunst. What position are you most, Mike McCarthy, what position are you most concerned about as the season starts?
Edge rush. Doesn't it have to be?
Yeah, unless you think your defensive coordinator is gonna make a big difference.
You got to scheme edge rush somehow.
I might be a tad more concerned about tackle, because if you lose one, I think you've got some big problems. But the pass rush overall and edge rush, it's hard to argue.
Well, the depth on the offensive line. I mean, I think that if these 5 starters on the offensive line play all 16 games, it could be one of the better offensive lines in all the league. But you're one injury away from really having some serious problems there. I mean, there just hasn't been the depth that we've seen. And as we know, offensive line, there's a lot of attrition through the season. So, I mean, you look at last year, they were depleted at tackle after, 3 weeks?
Yeah.
So that can't happen again because they don't have the depth.
Pretty rare to get through the whole season without any injuries, but even just a handful would be better than I think most teams. Matthews going to the middle, no sign of it yet.
Mike, I actually asked Clay Matthews that not long after the Oren Burks injury, and he said he usually has a pretty good idea, obviously, if he's going to or not. And there was no discussion. There was absolutely no signs that he would be. I would be very surprised if we saw Clay Matthews as anything but an edge rusher.
Describe the beautiful smell of sausage in the air.
I mean,
you can smell it.
Yeah, and
we're in a park just across from Lambeau Field. There's a few tailgaters and just families hanging out.
It's always fun for me to especially for week 1 or the home opener, to drive into Lot 9 where we park, because you get the window down, you get all the smells, and it's
Dan Dalkey, I think
puts you in the mood for football.
He's a regular on my chats, if I remember correctly.
Can the defense be top 15? If so, deep run for it all. Find out tonight, really.
Can it? Maybe. Will it? Prediction?
Yeah, a top 15, I don't think that's too much for Mike Pettine to do. I think they've had some serious issues at edge rusher, but I think they can scheme around some of that. He's almost always had a top 10 defense. I mean, when you look at it, he turned around the Cleveland Browns defense overnight.
Yeah, although his second year
two,
there
it was rough. But again, year 2, what did they not have? Jim Leonard stepped away. They didn't have that veteran conduit. Now they have 2. That is an important role historically with his defenses. I mean, that's the one time that he hasn't had a top 10 defense. I think there's a good chance that they're going to be top 15.
I wonder, a lot of questions about Josh Jackson. I don't think he'll start.
I think he's number 4.
Is there any chance that they play him a fair amount more than any of us suspect?
No, certainly there's a chance. I mean, it's week 1. I mean, let's face it. It's all guesswork until you see it on the field. It's not like they're showing us during training camp what they're going to have as their regular defense and offense this season. So, yeah, certainly there's a chance. And I think the point that you make about keeping Tramon Williams fresh is that Josh Jackson is one way to do that. And you're going to see him in dime. I mean, at the very least, you're going to see him there. I would imagine that he'll play a fair amount, but still, I think he is number 4.
Clay Matthews last season?
It's still open. I think if they would have traded for Khalil Mack, it would have been.
Will there be a Facebook Live after the game?
There will be. Yes, join us after the game.
We'll take 1 or 2 more quick ones here, and then we've got to get up to the press box and get ready for a game. D is better than the 2016 team that got to the championship game.
And we'll find out tonight. That's certainly it needs to be, and if it is, it goes a long way. Nick Perry to have a good game.
The crystal ball. What does your crystal ball tell you?
You know, I picked the Vikings to win the NFC North, but I also said that if you had a coin, I'd flip it, and if heads it's Packers and it's Vikings it's tails. I think it's a 2-team conference or division. I think that the Packers are right in the thick of it. It would not surprise me if they won the NFC North. It wouldn't surprise me if they won the NFC. Aaron Rodgers can make up for a lot, but I thought did you see any of the Vikings today, Pete?
I saw the first half. Yeah.
I thought they looked pretty darn good against the San Francisco team that's a lot better than 6-10 from last year.
We've got Aaron Nagler chastising us for not having the phone sideways. We did, but it was a lot of the people. It was coming vertical, Aaron. So,
you didn't tell us that before the thing, Aaron.
Well, yeah. So we've got a little work to do on this, Aaron. Pet and blitz much against Trubisky, yeah. Australia, good to hear from you. And Aaron is playing.
That's
Monday
right,
morning
Dan.
quarterback.
Yeah, you tell him. You tell him, Dan.
And I think the questions are starting to run thin. I think we've answered most of them. If you just asked something in the last couple minutes, we probably answered it earlier. So go back and check this out before the game starts. Otherwise, thanks for joining us, everybody. We're how far from kickoff, Ryan? Do you have the time? I think we're getting pretty close, an hour and 10 minutes. It looks like. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you after the game.
All right, let's go.
So how come it was vertical